everybody, welcome back to my workshop, welcome back to my garage. So first off, I just want to say this is February the 23rd that I'm doing this work right now, and I just want to say to my wife of 32 years today, thank you very much for sticking with me for 32 years, and if we're lucky we'll have 32 more. So that's just a big shout out to my wife, such an amazing woman, allows me to do the things that I do, so I couldn't be happier. She probably won't watch this, she never watches any of my videos, she told me, but just in case, maybe somebody else will watch it and ping her to see it, and maybe she'll see it too. So happy anniversary, sweetheart. So in this video we're going to be taking a look at getting the neck to this point right here. We're going to cover putting in the inlays and the saga involved with that. This was not my first choice on the inlays that I wanted, but you'll see that through the video, the mistakes that I made and the things that I did to correct it. Getting the side dots installed, getting my neck carved to the initial shape, getting my volute in, getting the transition heel done, tentatively done. This is going to get fine-tuned once it gets glued into the guitar as I taper the guitar body and the neck in together to make a nice handshake area right there at the 15th, 16th fret, and to give better access up to the 21st, 22nd, the 21st fret on this neck. I really appreciate everybody that's been tuning into the channel and the comments that have been left. For the most part, everything's been very positive. That's great. I love to hear the comments. I try and respond to every comment that I get. You know, so as I go through this build, if you see something, shout it out. You know, let me know. Please click like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. Leave comment below. But let's go ahead and get rolling and make some sawdust. So it's time to start working on this neck. What I want to start doing is I want to go ahead and get it drilled for the side dot markers on the fretboard, and then I want to get the fret inlays on the front of the fretboard done, and I also want to get the holes drilled for the tuners. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to first go ahead and drill the side dot markers. And for that process, what I'm going to be using is the side dot marker jig from Maximum Guitar Works, part of their templates. What I've got is I've got a template on the top. There's 3 different sizes of holes that you can drill with this jig. You've got the 2mm holes, the 3mm holes, and then a 3/32, which is what I'm going to be using is the 3/32 holes. Basically the way this works is you adjust this fence here to accept the neck, and I've already adjusted it. So you slide your neck in, you bring it up to the template and line up the tuner holes, line up the holes on it. And what I've done is I've got it lined up with the fret locations, and then I like to clamp it. Well, then you clamp it in place so it doesn't move on you. So what this has got now is it's got the center line down, and I just run it along with the fretboard, and now I can just go in with these holes, 3/32 drill bit, and drill in my holes for my side dot locations. That's what we're going to go ahead and do. All right, so what I'm going to do with this is, because it is such just a shallow hole that I'm drilling, I'm just going to use a hand drill. I've got my 3/32 bit in here. Drop it down in the hole. I've got a marker on it with the tape. And that's all it takes right there. There we go. Pop this off, take a look at it, see what we got. And as you can see, holes are drilled right where I want them to be. Centered up on the fret locations. And all I need to do now is I'm just going to clean those out a little bit, and they'll be ready to put the abalone side markers in. All right, I've done a couple test drills to make sure I've got the right diameter bit. And what I'm using is a 1/4" Forstner bit. And if you remember when I did the fretboard and put this, I did my center line, and I already marked out my dot locations, punched them in. So all I got to do now is just center up the Forstner bit and go down on that spot. There we go, just enough. Go ahead and knock these other ones out then. All right, so there we have it. All our dots are drilled in. Well, my old adage of measure twice, cut once still holds true. Unfortunately, yesterday when I was drilling out the fret marker locations on the front of the fretboard, apparently when I was doing frets 15, 17, 19, and 21, everything moved on me just a little bit from when I put the drill in. So I ended up coming slightly off center between the frets on those holes. Let's see if we can bring this in here. Initially, I'd planned to just do a very simple mother of pearl dot inlay. What I'm going to have to do now is I've went ahead and I've opened those holes up just a little bit wider. I'm going to put some copper tubing in there. There is going to be a little bit of a gap at a couple spots where I've had to recenter the hole with the copper tubing. I'm hoping that some brown super glue and rosewood dust will fill that in to where it's unnoticeable. So that's what I'm going to shoot for first. I'm just waiting for those pieces to come in, and then I can go ahead and do some test pieces to see what this neck's going to look like. My other option is to go just even slightly bigger on the holes, go up to 8mm holes and use an 8mm tube. That will definitely cover all the area. I just don't know how it's going to look cosmetically, if it's going to look too big or not. But I've got both options to play with, so we should be able to salvage this, because I would hate to lose this neck at this point. It is a nice fretboard. The mahogany is very nice on it. I'd hate to lose the neck at this point, but we're going to see what we can do to salvage on these last few dots here. So, crisis averted on the neck. Like I said earlier in the video, when I drilled the holes, especially for these last 4, somehow my jig moved a little bit and the holes ended up being off center, grossly off center. So what I did is, because I was only going to use 1/4-inch abalone dots, I wanted to keep it simple. So what I ended up having to do is I went ahead and oversized all the holes. That way I was able to center up these much better. Oversized them up to 8mm. I put copper tube in, 8mm copper tube, and then I filled the insides with crushed turquoise and then flooded that with super glue. For the areas around it, I mean, it came out super nice. Let me see if you can see it. There was very little gap around any of the inlays. So the little bit that was there, just a little bit of rosewood powder in there from the sanding, and then some super glue, and then file that back. But this came out really well, considering how badly these 4 down here were off the mark. So I'm really glad the way this turned out. I didn't want to have to scrap the neck. I would have if I had to, but it turned out that I really don't have to. Everything's going to be fine. This is a prototype anyway. I am going to be selling it, but it's going to be stock, considering some of the small little imperfections that are there. Not many, but there's, like, one of the dots is just a 1/32 away from where it should be and where I'd really wanted it to be. I just couldn't get it into that spot due to the size and everything, without ended up being under the frets and too close to the fret slot. So, but it is still going to be a very nice guitar. The fretboard has been polished up to 1500, so it's good to go. What I'm going to get ready to do now is put in my abalone side dot markers, and then I can start to shaping the neck. So let's get rolling with the side dot markers. So just a super simple process for this. A drop of super glue in the hole, put the abalone dot in there, give it a small tap with the hammer, make sure it's flush with the top, and move on to the next one. I glue about 2 holes, 3 holes at a time, and then I put the dots in and move to the next one, wiping off any excess super glue, and then hoping, that I don't have a whole lot of cleanup to do. To kind of control this better, I'm just going to use a precision tip on it. One thing you want to be careful of, especially when you're tapping stuff in with super glue, is that you are wearing some goggles or something, that just in case the super glue splashes up. You definitely don't want that getting in your eye. And see, all it takes is just the smallest of taps. So there we have it. Side dots are installed. And we're able to start. I'm going to go ahead and get set up. We'll start shaping the neck. What I've got done is I went ahead and I marked the center line on my neck. And then I came up center from the bottom of the fretboard on the sides here, marked it on both sides. And then from the center line to the edge on each side, I marked a line. So what I'm going to do, that's going to be my first facet that I'm going to take off from the edge of this blue tape to that line right there. The reason why I use the tape is it's harder to see the stuff on the sides. I think Geo did this from Tornelli Guitars. On one of his, I got the idea from him to put the tape there. That way it makes it for a crisper line. You can see it better, especially on darker wood like this. With maple, it wouldn't necessarily be that big a deal, but with mahogany and some of the darker woods, the pencil lines tend to blend in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take these first facets off each side, and then you facet again and again, and eventually you get it rounded over to what it's supposed to be. So what I'm shooting for is a 59-ish Les Paul profile. At the first fret, it's supposed to be 0.8. And I'm using the StewMac templates. For the first fret, it's supposed to be 0.895, and I am at 896 at the first fret. For the 11th fret, it's supposed to be 0.98, and I'm at 0.93. So it's going to be a little bit slimmer than what a Les Paul neck will be. 50 style will be more in line with the 60 style, a little bit slimmer, but it's still going to be good. I like both necks, and I am going to shoot for these profiles for the first fret and the 11th. So what I'm going to do first is, when I do the facets, I'm going to get those facets right first, get that shape done, and then I'll facet in the rest of the neck. So I'm going to go ahead and put the camera down there, show it as it goes along. Not going to be any talking through this because there's no need to. All I'm going to be doing is taking a Shinto rasp and doing the bulk of this, and then I'll use my Japanese files to fine tune it and get it to what I need it to be. Okay, I did want to bring you in real quick, just to kind of show you what I've got done so far. So what I've done, this is my first fret, roughed in, and then my 11th fret. Like I said, I was right at the 59 Les Paul profile right here, or thickness here. Here I was a little bit thinner. So this neck's going to be more of a slim taper neck. But what I've got is I'm still got my template for the 59. And as you can see, when I put here in the front, let's see if we can get a better picture of this. My neck's a little bit wider, but the profile is what I want it to be. It's got that nice spherical shape to it, and my neck is just a touch wider than what a 59 neck is going to be. The overall contour of it's going to be roughly the same. And then at the 11th fret, again, the neck is a little bit thinner here, but you can see it follows the profile except for right there. But then I'm going to join all this up and get rid of all this bulk material, and then that way the neck will be more in a finished shape, and I can sand it and I can fine tune it to exactly what I want it to be. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to take, with my Shinto rasps and everything, I'm just going to take all this material off, join up these two, get that as uniform as possible, and then I'll start working on my volute and my heel transition. So what I've got first off is I've got the initial carve done on the main part of the neck. A little bit of fine tuning still. It's not exactly where I want it to be. I'll take some it's a little flat, so I'm going to take some off the sides a little bit. It's more of a D shape right now, and I want something more of a C shape. So I'm going to take probably a little bit off the shoulders here. But it feels good going up and down the neck. The thickness is nice. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my volute kind of traced in, and I'm going to clean up this area. I'm also going to slip it in the body and figure out exactly where my body's going to be on this, and it's going to be carved more once it goes in, but I like to carve it up to the heel transition point as much as possible before I glue it in, and that way it just saves less carving and flipping the guitar over and everything when the body's attached. But yeah, the initial carve came out really nice. I'm really happy with it. Like I said, a little bit of fine tuning, but now we're going to get to work on the volute. And for the volute, I just use some files, and I just start rounding it in. Kind of getting that initial shape in there. And then of course, the goal is to blend it in with the neck shaft, so I work down from there. All right, so let's go over a few specs on the neck that I've got it down to. Initially, I was shooting for a 1959 Les Paulish profile, but I kind of deviated from that a little bit. I got to a point where I really like the feel of the neck, so it's kind of a hybrid. The nut width right now, I've still got a little bit of sanding to do as I smooth everything out on the side. So the nut width is going to come down. Right now it's 1.71 inches, and it's going to come down to probably 1.68 right there at that 1.68 inch nut width right there. I've got a little bit of sanding to do as I fine tune up here with the leveling beam as I go up and down after I get the neck mounted in the guitar. At the first fret, I'm 0.875 inches, so slightly less than a 59. And slightly more than a 60s. And then at the 12th fret, I am 0.908, which again is considerably less than a 58 and only slightly more than a 60. So what I've got is kind of like an in the middle between neck. It's pretty much a C-shaped neck. It's got a nice carve to it, nice roundness to it. So I'm really happy there. And the width at the 12th fret is right at 2.05, which is right on spec with the 60 style. So basically what I'm going to do is, as I level this out and as I dress these edges a little bit and go through there, as I come down through here, that's going to taper that neck just ever so slightly. And I'll get the nut width down just a little bit. And if it's a little bit wider than that, who cares? It's a nice feeling neck, and it all matters on how the guitar plays. 0.101 or 0.110, there's not a lot of difference there. 0.101, 0.11, yeah, there's not a lot of difference there. So, when you're talking 10,000ths of an inch, it's pretty minute. And I bet if you go and measured some of the old Gibsons, one would measure one thing and one would measure another thing and one would measure another, as all those were carved by hand, as this one is. So I really think the neck came out great. It is a 3-piece mahogany neck, and you can definitely see the different grains where the joints are, but it's a nice glue joint all the way through. The headstock shape, I'm really liking the headstock shape on that. That's going to be really good. So yeah, I can't wait to get this thing glued in the guitar and kind of see what that guitar looks like finished. But yeah, it's a really nice feeling neck. The fretboard I've got polished up to 1500. So I'm done with that. Then once I get frets on it, I'll hit it with the coat of linseed oil, boiled linseed oil, to get down in there and protect that fretboard a little bit more than just the raw rosewood. Rosewood doesn't require a finish on it at all, but I'll be putting a finish on this one just as a preservative type thing. So that's the neck. Really happy with it. It's coming out really nice. It's got the heel adjust truss rod. I still got a little bit of fine tuning to do in there. To get that hole to where, the way I want it. Right now it's pretty nice. I just want to smooth up the edges a little bit, and there's some symmetry issues right now that one side's not quite as symmetrical as the other. I want to level those up and get those done. But that's the specs on the neck. So I wanted to get those in there so everybody could see what that was. I think it's going to be a great neck. Remember, I put carbon fiber rods in this one too with the dual action truss rod. So this thing's going to be stable as all get out. I don't anticipate it moving at all. It was straight when I put it together. After I put the fretboard on it and radiused, it's straight then. And of course, after I put frets on it before I do the level and crown and polish, I'm going to make sure it's straight again then before I do anything. But right now, this neck has not moved through the whole process. I'm really happy. So the other neck is going to come out just as well, I'm sure, because it's been sitting there with just the carbon rods in it, and it hasn't moved at all. That's in this neck right here. Still got a lot of work to do on this one. This one's going in the other Rebel guitar that I'm building. The other one, don't forget, is going to have a flame maple top on it. So that's going to be really nice. That's going to be dyed. This one that I'm building right now, that this neck is for, I plan to do a TV yellow nitro finish on it. So that'll be one of my first nitro finishes that I've done. On a full guitar, I've done nitro on a neck before. A couple necks I've done nitro, satin nitro, but this one's going to be a gloss nitro, and it is going to be the TV yellow. So I can't wait to get that done and see how this thing comes out. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. We made a lot of progress, recovered from some errors that we made, but so far the neck's looking really good. In the next video, what I'm going to be doing is carving the body, putting the contour carves in the body, putting frets on the neck, and then hopefully getting the neck glued into the guitar. Make it a full guitar at that point. But please, if you like what I'm doing, click like, click subscribe, leave a comment below. I'd really love to get your feedback. And until next time, thank you for tuning in, and take care.